Welcome back. So unfortunately, it seems like we're not able to escape the conference the conference what? The conference jinx, I guess, in terms of Bitcoin falling down on Bitcoin conference day. So even though yesterday was like the first day, it was industry day, today is actually the opening day, and you can see Bitcoin did go down. However, this is nothing compared to previous years when Bitcoin went down like 20%, 10 or 20% during the conference. That's no longer the case. We went down a little bit, but as you can see on the screen, barely 1.5%. Although I do think we will obviously turn around and get back to 110 shortly. There are a lot of things to talk about today, though. A lot of things. To start out, U.S. market. Most of you guys watching this is ready around noontime. It is somewhat red, although it can certainly turn green. There are some major things happening. One is Elon actually did an interview with CBS and said that unfortunately the new spending bill, the new big bold bill or big beautiful bill um, that Trump administration is trying to pass through, unfortunately, is actually going to increase our spending and increase our deficit by almost $4 trillion. And Elon says, unfortunately, that's going to undermine all the things that he's done with Doge and really just set us backwards, right? Everything that we have been trying to do in terms of cutting irresponsible spending, and that leads to us not borrowing as much, right? And also leading us to possibly cut capital gains tax or cut income tax. Seems like that's all going to go away because this new bill, which has already passed the House, will be increasing our federal deficit by $3.8 trillion in the next 10 years. So, what does that mean? That means if we can't borrow that money through the issuance of bonds, that means there's going to be a whole lot of money printing. That is not good. The reason why. Also, I saw the Labor Department, who's versus course on crypto and 401k, basically saying the previous administration basically put pressure on a lot of these 401k providers and telling them, hey, don't allow people to buy crypto, especially Bitcoin, with their 401k. And they are now removing all those pressures so that, hey, more people are able to do what they want with their money, which is to invest in something better than the alternative. And that's Bitcoin, right? So that's also very good. And in terms of ETF buying hasn't changed. Yesterday, another 400 million to BlackRock. We had a little outflow from some other funds, but overall, you guys know the drill. These big institutions, especially BlackRock, continues to load up on every single Bitcoin they can because they know it's the right move. It's the right asset to DCA into. And they're DCAing hundreds of millions of dollars every single day. And speaking of $100 million or hundreds of millions of dollars, look at this. GameStop bought $500 million worth of Bitcoin today. Okay, we've been waiting for this for quite some time. Although they raised a lot more. I believe they raised 1.6 billion. So they're not going all in one time. But they did finally decide to buy $500 million of the Bitcoin, which, of course, is going to help Bitcoin and going to help GameStop, quite frankly. It did go down today. I think that's a lot of just like games, like whale games being played right now. We know GameStop is a stock that loves that some love to short, and I think that could be the case. And today, Bitcoin went down because of the conference, and the U.S. market is down. But I do think GameStop, like MetaPlanet, like Strategy, and like so many others that have continued to DCA, is going to see improvement with their stock and overall. Um, just help them have a better balance sheet, right? And that's one with Bitcoin that infinitely appreciates as time goes on. Other things from the conference, I actually just watched Vance finish his speech. Unfortunately, I didn't hear a whole lot of new things. I did look forward to hearing from him. Unfortunately, I woke up late, so I had to watch it on stream. Um, but I didn't hear anything new, although he really reinforced the fact that Bitcoin is a movement and they are going to try to pass that genius bill and everything else, some rhetoric about Bitcoin is a hedge not just for inflation, but in terms of unfairness and a hedge against everything else that has been bad prior, and Bitcoin changes all that. So it was a really positive speech. He said more in the speech than I would say last year's speech from Trump, but unfortunately, it didn't seem like he said anything new. But it just seems like, they were continuing to move forward. They don't have anything new to announce, but they are just very pro crypto. The whole administration is very pro crypto. Also, this was announced that, the Bitcoin reserve now with the 200,000 Bitcoin will never be sold. Okay. And innovation will continue. And I know Senator Loomis is still looking forward um, to establish ways to purchase 1 million Bitcoin in the next 5 years. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Texas is also getting very, very close to establishing their own reserve. That is positive. We have a lot of states that have a reserve already, and many more trying to make Bitcoin a reserve. But Texas is a big one, and it's coming soon. And someone like El Salvador continues to buy Bitcoin. They now have over 6,000 Bitcoin, 6,190 to be exact, roughly like $700 million. And of course, they're not going to stop, despite the fact that IMF, though, who does not like Bitcoin, and doesn't want to lose their grasp on countries, despite them telling El Salvador, don't buy any more Bitcoin. Well, they're not listening. They continue to purchase, and that's the right call. All right, last few things. Bitcoin, is it going to go higher? Tom Lee also says yes. He reposted the banana zone chart that Raul Paul famously have like termed the banana zone, and that is coming. Okay. So, despite the fact that, hey, today we went down 1.5%, we haven't hit a new high yet, we haven't made that next leap, it's coming. Just like all previous zones, we will hit another solid floor. Maybe we correct a little bit or consolidate there for a little bit, and then we finally go to the top. And I do believe this is right. I do believe the next mark is anywhere from 120 to 140. Some things 150, and then we will go even higher than that. That's what I honestly believe, and I think it is just right around the corner. All right, last thing I want to talk about is about Sui, actually. So we all know that last week the biggest DEX and LP got hacked, right? Most of the funds were recovered, but there was about like 60 million that the hackers wandered off with. So Sui and Cetus, well, actually Cetus put out this recovery plan, which is to lock out the accounts. There's two accounts with the stolen funds, and actually remove them or remove the funds within them and put it back into the treasury and use that to distribute to the users who have obviously lost a lot of money. That's 60 million, right? And the community vote went through. Over 50% actually said yes. So they will be doing this. So basically, the hackers don't get anything. But this does raise the question of whether or not, something like this should be done on a decentralized blockchain, right? But you know what? It wasn't just voted by CETUS, it wasn't voted by SUI, it was put to a vote to the community, and most of the community said yes. You could see 67.1% on the side here said, well, you can't really see, but it's on the side. 67.1% said yes, so it is going to happen soon, right? And this could be a big thing for people, obviously, that lost their money, but also there are some in the community that may have some concerns about this, whether or not a chain or foundation should do something like this with a major hack. Obviously, they're not the first ones. We have seen this before. We have seen a lot of things like this before, even with Ethereum. A lot of people don't even know that Ethereum is actually the fork chain um, when they decided to roll back all these hacked funds from their early days, right? And Ethereum Classic is actually the true chain. People don't know that. But this does not take it that far. This is not a new fork. This is not a rollback. This is not anything like that. This is basically just to lock out the two wallets that the attackers hold the funds in, and basically removing, first of all, blocking out those addresses, but also removing the stolen funds from those wallets and back into a CETA's multi-sig wallet. So that should be happening soon. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. I know this is pretty late in the day, but again, better late than never due to the time difference. It's gonna be very hard for me to stick with the 8:30 a.m. schedule, but be strong, my friends. There are always a lot of great things happening. I'm going to head back to the conference today, see how it is. It's probably going to be a lot more packed than yesterday. But I'm looking forward to meeting people. You guys saw that I talked to Peter Schiff yesterday, but there are a lot more famous Bitcoiners there at the conference. So I'm looking forward to meeting them and talking with them as well. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye bye.